DC Universe Rebirth, the biggest comics event of the 21st century. The greatest heroes and villains. The greatest graphic novels. The next epic starts here. Volume 1 collections of the best-selling comic books.
How's everyone's Comic-Con? Woo! Look at that! Look, they're more excited over there. There we go!
That's good.
I would like to introduce everyone to Dan Jurgens.
Hello, everybody.
There we go. What are we going to be working on today?
Well, I thought what we should probably do, we'll start off with a nice, quick kind of Superman sketch.
Superman's always a good way to go.
Superman is a good way to go here. I think everybody will approve of that, right?
Does everyone approve of Superman? So at the end of this, we will give this away. We're going to do a trivia question. You can't see it yet? Okay. Let's see what we can do about that.
Oh, it's going to get better.
Yeah,
I'm just blocking it out in pencil first, and once we go to ink, then it'll start working out much better.
Yeah. So until then, let's just have a lovely chat. Dan, how's your Comic-Con? You doing well?
I'm doing just fine, yes.
All right, great. Let's see.
Good show.
We have Superman going. I know you're going to be busy drawing and zoned in that, but can you tell us a little bit of your journey and how you ended up with DC?
How I ended up at DC way back when. DC was publishing a book called Warlord. So this was like 1982, so this is a long time ago. And at that time, the character had been created by someone named Mike Grell, who was also writing it and had been drawing it, and they were looking for a different artist. And I stopped and showed Mike my work on the way home from my own job at that time. Stopped and showed him my work, and it just so happened he got real interested right away. And a couple of weeks later, I was drawing the book and have been kind of hanging around ever since. And as I said, that was a long time ago. So, all right, now okay, it's showing up a little bit.
Yeah.
So the idea with Superman is always to get a little bit of power into it, a little bit of scope, a little bit of imagination, because, you know, I kind of think that Superman should certainly look like he's got more going on than the rest of us do for the most part. And this is the way I work, is I always block out the figure first in pencil.
It's looking great.
And then start to pull it all together.
Oh, look at that chin, guys.
And just kind of give him that sense of presence that I think Superman always has to have. I think there are certain characters who should always just feel different on the page and have a real sense of almost command and presence. And Superman is certainly one of those, if not first and foremost the character that should feel that way.
When you started working on Superman, was it scary because he's such an iconic character?
It was a little bit, yes, and also because in my head, I had always thought of Superman as having been drawn by Curt Swan, who was this long, legendary artist who had worked on Superman for so many years. And because of that, because I always envisioned Superman as being drawn by Curt Swan, I kind of looked at my own version of the character and said, it's not quite right. So there was something to that. And then you kind of have to figure that as you do it, you have to make the character your own, and that's regardless of whether it's Superman or anybody else. You have to make the character your own, and then hope that people are willing to come along for the ride and accept it along the way.
I think you were very successful in that.
Hopefully so, yes. I think it worked out.
How's everybody doing? It's real energetic in here, guys. Okay. So you start in pencil. Now you're inking. What kind of...
Yep. Pulling it all together here. Having fun with the cape, because of course the cape always has to be a part of what makes Superman a little special.
See, I always ruin drawings when I get to the inking. I can pencil and sketch.
Uh-huh.
As soon as I get to the inking, I just...
Well, I think there again, part of that is because inking for each individual, I think, is so expressive that you have to, it's sort of what I was saying earlier. I think you have to look at it and be comfortable with how you do it and realize that that's your style. That's really what's coming through and kind of pulling the work together.
I'm sorry.
Are you?
Hello?
You got to turn his head the other side way.
Oh,
Wait.
no.
Wait.
No, I'm sorry.
No, help me out. Help me out. Now, what did I do wrong?
His face is going to be this way. Turn it.
Oh, I can't.
Change it all.
Oh, to start over? Really?
That's what you editors do to us.
Editors?
You're an
That
editor.
is. I'm not an editor.
Not bad.
Thank you. You think I got a future? Maybe?
You have a chance to work in the industry.
Okay. Thank you. If John says so, I trust it to be true. And of course, what we get in with Superman is part of the idea of that sense of dynamic is through this sense of foreshortening, the arm out front, just kind of get that sense of power into it that someone who can move a mountain, I think, should kind of have.
He's looking really great. Do you have a favorite DC character you like to work on?
I always say that your favorite character is whoever you're working on at the moment, because you have to make it that way. You have to almost adopt them as your own. So, and since I am working on Superman now, I'll say Superman, but even if I weren't, he'd certainly be top 3, so.
Of course. So we got a little bit of time. We'll do some questions in just a bit. Man, I'm so surprised, and it's crazy how you're able to just pull this together. Do you want to talk about Booster at all? You want to tell us about that character?
About Booster Gold?
Yeah.
Booster, in a little way, to a certain extent, is sort of like my secret alter ego. But in all honesty, Booster for me was the chance to give DC that kind of a looser character that would crack jokes and everything, which they didn't have a lot of back then. I think the company had a lot of more stodgy type of characters, and so Booster came about, I think that was 1985. But it was also, celebrity culture was really changing then. We had, like Entertainment Tonight as a TV show, and People Magazine had come about, and we were seeing more with the idea of celebrity endorsements. So part of it was this thought I had of, well, why wouldn't a superhero do the same thing?
Right.
And that's what I started to key on and what we did to make the character different. So,
And
certainly had fun.
He has come a long way. He's been in the animated series. Was he in the Batman Lego? I think
Right.
The third game.
He was on Smallville.
And he was on
Live
Smallville.
action. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Which is amazing. I can't imagine creating a character and then he's just spread across all these different medias. And keep him alive.
It is fun whenever you create a character to see it then get translated into all sorts of different mediums, and especially when it bounces into animation, because animation is so expressive and they change the physique of the character and everything. So that's always fun to see. And but then when it makes the leap into live action, where someone is actually portraying them, that's its own special sort of thing. So
Of course, yeah.
always fun.
Now, did you have any artists that were inspirations to you when you were growing up?
Oh yeah,
Or
very much so.
influences?
Certainly like Neil Adams, Jack Kirby, John Buscema, Kurt Swan, so many different ones. And I think really influenced by anyone whose work we ever see and read. We just don't necessarily realize it as much.
Woo! Dan Jurgens.
Woo!
Hey, hi Jason, how's it going?
Good, man.
So yeah, I think we're influenced in many ways by many different artists and many different styles. And I know that I'll go through my work, and as I draw, I'll say, oh yeah, that's kind of like, I'll see something that evokes something I wouldn't even have realized when I drew it as, like, yeah, I remember reading that when I was 9 years old, and somehow there's a little aspect of that in the panel or something.
And do you have a preference on page use, like the full pages versus panels?
On whole pages versus what?
Panels. Break that up.
I'm a weird duck in that because I write and draw as well, for me it's all about telling the story. And at the end of the day, what I look for is whatever we can do to actually tell the story in the most effective way possible. And that's what I actually end up enjoying, is like sometimes I'll get a 3-page sequence done that may or may not include a splash page. But if the storytelling is really as effective as I want it to be, then we have absolutely gotten it to the point where I'm happy with it, just because since I wrote it, that's what I'm trying to do, is tell the story in the first place.
Everybody still doing good out there? Hanging in there? Look at this. Look at these lovely people. They're beautiful. And his hair's just right. You always got to get a little bit of that little curl.
Yep. Got to have that. That's, just like Batman has to have the ears, Superman has to have the spit curl.
Imagine it's difficult to remain having good hair when you're flying. But he manages to always look great.
He's an alien.
That's it. It's because he's an alien. That wouldn't happen. That would never happen otherwise. No, I totally agree with you. I think that's fine. Yeah. Do you have a preference of drawing superheroes or villains?
Always depends on who they are.
Right.
It always depends.
Well, the mannerisms, I feel like, are so fun with the villains.
Sometimes with the villains, you get to play with lighting and things like that, get the under lighting going, and get that weird expression going, and really do some stuff that you wouldn't necessarily do with the hero. You can get a little more maniacal, which can be fun.
Still have a little bit of time.
Okay. Let's see here.
Is there anything you're working on right now that you can tell us about?
Right now, we are working on continue to write Action Comics. Also writing Batman Beyond, and I just got done drawing an issue of the Commandy Challenge, issue number 7, which will be out, I think, either next week or the week after, which was a lot of fun. And really, one of the first full-length stories I have drawn in a couple of years, and it was nice to get back to it. I had a lot of fun with that.
So you've been just a little busy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hi. Does anyone have any questions? You start doing that? No? What's that? What's that?
Was it for him to draw most of the Death of Superman?
It was an awesome experience. It was a lot of fun. And, it was a very special time. I think we had a good story to tell, and it was a very unique time in comics, and we'll never see, I don't think, anything like that again.
Anyone have any more questions? All right. We're doing good. I know, that's great. That was very helpful. I know. I keep getting zoned in here. I can't help it. He's so handsome, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. I guess we could do the trivia questions. I mean, find out who's going to get this amazing sketch when it's over. What's that? No, we gotta do trivia. Let me get back here. So it's a big crowd. What is the name of the character that Dan created and introduced in the 1980s? I already got it right here. This is Booster Gold. Look at that. Round of applause for this gentleman. Paying attention, knowing his stuff. What's your workstation like at?
My workstation is, I actually work on a light table, and then a light table, for those of you who don't know, it's large. It's about 40 inches wide by almost 3 feet high. That moves up and down. I use a stool, and it lights up underneath because I do a lot of adjusting the work as I go. I draw on tracing paper and then put it under the board and pencil it up that way. I have a desktop computer on one side, I have a laptop on the other, and just kind of, I'm working on whatever tool I'm doing at the time. And now because I'm writing more, I actually use that drawing table far less than I would like.
So you're able to be a little bit more mobile.
Okay.
Do you have a preference? I mean, they're totally different jobs, but do you have a preference?
They're totally different jobs, but for me, I look at it as one job. If I am writing and drawing a story, for me, it's one job, and it goes back to what I talked about earlier. I'm telling a story, and because I write and draw, if I'm into the story like 3 pages and I'm drawing it, I will start to adapt and make changes. So it's a more cohesive back and forth process that I regard as one rather than 2 tasks, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. That's great.
Okay, so all right.
Look at this, guys. We do a
Can we
round
do
of
this?
applause for the Superman by Dan Jurgens.
What's that? You like that? Thank you. So there we go.
Thank you.
The lucky winner.